Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Warning, the following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
So hey, hi, hello. This is the Crime Diner. If this is your first time joining us, we share stories of true crime, cults, mysteries, historical hilarities, and all sorts of weird shit that we find interesting. We do this within a Dinner with Friends theme. I'm Nidia.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Cindy.
Last week we spoke with Sarah,
Right.
of TikTok fame.
That's right.
And her TikTok captured our attention because she caught something on video that no one in a partnership, in a romantic coupling, wants to capture.
Definitely not.
Yes. I mean, there's a few things on that list. That's a long list of shit that I don't want to capture on video, but that certainly makes the tops.
Absolutely. I don't want to see my partner tampering with my food ever.
Yeah,
Ever,
like
ever,
in an
ever.
attempt to poison me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to see my partner getting freaky on camera with someone else.
Oh, yeah.
I certainly don't want to see them getting freaky with themselves on the camera by themselves. I would be less mad about it.
Less mad, yeah.
But certainly,
I honestly would not be mad at all.
I just don't want to see it. It feels like a vulnerable situation that I would
Definitely
be like, oh
a
my
vulnerable
God.
situation, and I'd keep looking.
Oh my God, you're a pervert.
So today I'm telling you a story that may sound familiar as it was covered by Dateline.
Oh.
It was like one of those like more not too far gone, not too far back Dateline episodes. You know? And I just loved me some Dateline.
Yeah,
man.
you know, it's so funny when you think back, and I was like a little kid when Dateline, started. Probably you were, I don't know how long Dateline started ago, but I remember being a very small child on like a Saturday night watching fucking Dateline.
Oh my God,
like,
captivating.
What the hell? Why was I doing that? Is that so weird?
I used to think, and nothing against, I'm not, this isn't.
Oh, here we go.
I used to think, damn, white people be crazy.
I wonder that all the time.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on, white America?
Because that's literally all Dateline ever was like some fucking rich doctor like injecting his wife with some weird shit, or like some teacher having sex with her student, or just
somebody
some crazy
disappearing
thing.
off of a fucking cruise line on their freaking honeymoon.
So funny. You're so
fucking
right.
crazy.
Truly the caucasity of it all.
I mean,
for real.
So I'm telling you about a nearly perfect crime.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it would have been, he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for them pesky kids.
Oh no.
All right. So, and here's a lesson to be learned from this, what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
There is no perfect crime where there is an ex-lover involved. They will rat you out.
Yeah.
Not if, but when.
What is it? Ben Franklin says, only a secret between... never mind, forget it.
I was like, where are you going with this? What?
Ben Franklin has a quote that's like, a secret can only be kept if between three people if two of them are dead. Something like that.
Oh, was that from Ben Franklin?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm certainly quoting it wrong, but that is what it is.
Bro, if you give a kidney or if you give a murder secret to a lover, you gotta stay with that person or kill them.
Definitely. Yeah. Or I didn't get behind the kill them comment. I didn't know that was coming.
Also, I don't give a kidney to take you out. Because that's like, I want my kidney back then.
Right?
I'm gonna have to get that kidney back from you.
I know. Like,
you will wake up in that tub with ice.
Oh my God, Cindy. Cindy's on a tear today.
You go to the ex's house and you're like, I need to pick up my CDs, my really good hoodie that you borrowed.
That's right.
And my kidney.
I'm gonna need that kidney.
Yes.
I'm gonna need that kidney back, please.
So we're going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you the story. But first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month under the power of the V podcast.
Cult.
What? What is this mess?
What the fuck?
This looks so fun.
So, Nydia's story, all she told me was Springfield, Illinois. And apparently, in Springfield, Illinois, the horseshoe is very popular, and it is a must.
I thought she was going to say horse shit.
So, a horseshoe is an open-faced sandwich.
It's a sandwich.
Sandwich, yeah.
Yes, you guys know I say that with the NG. Fries on top of the burger bun and a beer cheese sauce poured on top of that.
It smells like cheddar soup, like cheddar broccoli soup, sort of.
Let me describe this. It is a large kind of Texas toast type of bread. It has a burger on it and some crinkle fries placed and just
All over.
strewn all over it. And then it's got cheese sauce poured over it. The fucking, I mean,
Yeah.
my taste buds don't know what to do.
And I used a sourdough bread
Sourdough.
we got fresh from the bakery. And instead of just 2 slices of bread, I had to zhuzh it up a little
Coming
bit.
out
Right.
swinging. She's swinging. She's swinging.
So you ready to try
I mean,
it?
we better be, because that sourdough ain't holding up anymore.
What was that burger called?
Horseshoe. Open face sandwich.
Open face sandwich.
An open-faced cheeseburger with french fries and like a cheesy sauce.
It was a horseshoe. We
was
ate
a
a fucking horseshoe.
Why is it called that? Do you know?
Oh, was I supposed to research the
I mean, yeah,
history?
it's your literally one job. You have one fucking job for this podcast. Should I call Danny and ask her?
Fuck all the way off.
Dana's kind of mean to Cindy. And
Oh, really?
Just a tad bit.
Did you like the cheesy beer sauce?
The texture was not my favorite. The flavor was the best.
Yeah.
But the texture was kind of grainy.
It's a roux.
It was rude.
Yeah.
But a part of it was because I also... It wasn't immediate. Like, it was sitting...
Right.
as-
I find anytime there's a cheese sauce with a roux, it has that texture.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I figured that much because I've had that before.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, that was a fucking hell of a meal.
It had a lot of flavor.
It had a lot of it was a thick meal. It was like thick meat,
Yeah.
thick fries with cheese, bro, and thick ass bread.
Yeah. And the crusty, like the, what was a sourdough?
It was a sourdough.
It really held up against that burger.
Yeah, it did.
And the cheese, and like even once it was like all cheesed up and whatever. I dig it. So I thought this drink was a margarita, a mojito, something along those lines.
Wait, can I take a guess?
Sure.
Is it a lemon drop?
It is not a lemon drop.
It's
It
got,
tastes just like a lemon drop
it tastes like a margarita to me without the salt on the rim.
without but tequila. It tastes like a margarita because it's like definitely like some type
Tequila.
of lemony thing. But I don't know that it had tequila in it.
It has tequila.
It has
Did it?
tequila.
And it has lime pulp in here, certainly.
Lemon pulp, lime. Okay, what is
So
it?
what is
'Cause
it?
it was delicious.
It's
it was
so good. Yeah.
I'm on my second one, so
Of
you know
course, what else?
kind of night.
So, Nydia's story, I went searching and I found Illinois Country Living magazine.
Okay.
And in that magazine, they had a recipe called Grandma's Lemonade. And in the little synopsis, it said,
Grandma's a freak.
Grandma's a drunk.
it said that the kids got a hold of Grandma's lemonade and she had to take it back. And she's like, oh, no, you can't drink that. That's Grandma's lemonade. And Grandma's lemonade contains limeade, Fresca,
Okay.
tequila, and beer.
Shit.
Damn.
What?
It doesn't taste like beer at all.
Not even a little bit.
What kind of beer is it?
I use Corona.
It does not taste like that at all. It's so good.
Yeah, it was delicious.
You can really taste the pulp. Like there's like pulp in here. and
Yeah.
it's
That's from the frozen limeade.
frozen.
But it
limeade.
really
is that
tastes like a lemon drop.
Is that like the can of concentrate?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I
So
use
good.
that in the strawberry basil margaritas that I make.
That reminds me of the 80s. Like my mom,
Same.
like dumping that can into like a big thing of water and making like really watered down, like gross fucking orange juice or whatever the hell they made. Orange drink.
I lived on that.
Ugh, disgusting.
Well, this drink was,
It sounds like there's a lot of alcohol in it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I probably would have added more if I had room in the container to add.
I see you brought backup, so.
I did.
She did that for me because I'm on to drink too.
Well, she did steal some of my drink last time, so I figured let me give her some of this so that way she has her own.
Yeah. Well, Cynthia said that this was what was this called?
A horseshoe.
No, the drink.
Grandma's lemonade.
Country, what was it?
No, that was the magazine.
That was the magazine.
What was it called?
It was Illinois Country Living.
Country Living. Cindy, why don't you tell the listeners about your about your spell check mishap? Dana wasn't here when you.
I type a lot of emails at work. At the end, it doesn't automatically let me add in my automatic signature.
Yeah.
So, of course, I have to type it in. And as I'm typing it in, and multiple times this has been happening, I've realized that the Y is right next to the U. And my name is Cynthia. And I immediately realized that I've been typing a very Cuntia and immediately have caught myself. But I am very concerned of the moment that I will not catch myself.
You will not cunt yourself?
And I will fully sign it as Cynthia from here on out.
I say go for it.
I say embrace it. This is a very descriptive name for you.
Considering I am doing a lot of emailing with youth, I think I should avoid that.
Oh.
I'm here.
Cynthia?
I'm here for Cynthia.
I think we call her Cynthia from now on. That was very silly to tell us this, Cynthia.
You know we're gonna fucking
So
take
to
this.
shorten that, we call her Cunty, right?
Cunty.
Fully don't approve that.
Yeah, I think it is.
I like Cynthia. Sounds like such a beautiful name.
It's very comfying.
Anywho, speaking of fucking cunts, a cunty thing that's happening in my life. So I've been redoing my kitchen, right? And, sometimes, like, I'll go on TikTok. I'll go on fucking Instagram,
Yeah.
and I'll watch the Instagram reels and the DIYers, right? And they all are doing these things, and they make it seem possible.
Yeah.
So I started to DIY my fucking kitchen, folks.
Yeah, but you DIY stuff all the time.
I do, but there's certain things that are not DIYable.
Out of your scope of practice.
Fucking wiring a whole house for electricity.
Yeah.
Doing plumbing for a whole house for electricity. Digging your own fucking swimming pool. Some things are not DIY.
Left to the professionals.
Left to the professionals.
Yeah.
I started to tear up tile. And I have one of those 1990s, early 2000s homes that for some reason were made, look at the size of my dick, large.
Yeah, right.
Like unreasonably large, because a kitchen doesn't need to be that fucking large to make sense, right?
Right.
You don't need 80 cabinets. You don't have that many trust me, I don't have that much shit to store in them.
I know.
Most of my cabinets are empty. So it's like a large kitchen, and it's really 4 rooms. It's the kitchen, the morning room, like where you would sit and eat breakfast or whatever.
Okay.
Fucking morning room.
I have the, where I have the table, where I have the
dining room?
The eat in. No, because I have a separate dining room.
Oh, like that little kitchen.
eat
The
in-
breakfast nook.
Yeah, the breakfast nook, right?
Yeah.
So that's the breakfast nook, the kitchen, the fucking pantry, and the laundry room. They're all connected. It's all one large room, right?
I mean, I'm just saying, her pantry is about the size of my bedroom.
No, it's not that big, but it's big.
It's a big room,
yeah.
but it's not the size. But anyway, it's all tiled, motherfucker.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
So I had to rip up. Me and Russ have been ripping up fucking tile. There's about 3 inches of dust in my entire house. It broke my refrigerator.
And the thing is, like, you can't even fucking clean it up. Like, what's the point? Yeah, because as soon as you start breaking more tile, it's like, forget it.
Oh my God. So I've been living in so much dust, and listen, so the moral of the story is, unless you have the money to hire a professional to come in and fix your shit, don't start a DIY
because they could do it in a fucking couple of days and be done with it,
Dana, how's that working out for you?
Not great. Not great. I might have to, like, strong arm my contractor at some point.
Dana hasn't had a kitchen since February.
Yeah.
Since February.
Since February, yeah.
Yeah, I've been drinking.
Since February.
Yeah, she hasn't, and we're now into June.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be June next week.
Yeah.
As we're recording, yeah. And my mom owns this house. I'm in the process of buying this house from her. And my mom's like, give me his number. I'll call him myself. And I'm like,
girl, if I had a mom like your mom, I would sick her on everybody.
I'm actually afraid for him. So I'm like, I'm going away this week. And I'm like, let me go away. If I can't get him in here by the end of the week when I get back, like, I'll sick you on
Let
him.
me tell you about Dana's mom.
I'm, like, scared for him.
Yes. Let me tell you about Dana's mom. So you've all heard of Karens.
Some of you were raised by Karens. Right. I was raised by a Kathy.
A Kathy is a Karen's boss.
Yeah, she's like boss level Karen. She's like the ominous music starts playing behind her.
Yes. So after you beat the Karen in the video game of life, you get a Kathy.
I watched my mom tell off a person in a Coach bag store because her bag was going off in a different store. Like, her bag was going off. Her ex-husband had bought her this fucking Coach bag, and there was still, like, a thing inside of it that was, you know, like a sensor. When you go through the door, it makes the alarm go off. It, like, went off in the Van store. We were in, like, a outlet mall or whatever, and it went off in the Van store, and it went off in the Adidas store. Like, went off in all these stores. So I was like, oh, there's a Coach bag store. Let's go. My mom walks into the store with a bag that was... she had, like, she didn't even buy it there. She was given to her in another state, and she tells them off. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just walking by. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. She's always like this. I'm so sorry. And they're all just like, what the fuck is this lady's problem? Like, you came in here with the problem. Like,
she just had to make it everybody else's problem. Yeah,
I'm, like, scared for the contractor. If she does get a hold, I didn't give him the number. I was like, no, I'll deal with it. Don't worry about it.
But you won't.
No, I mean, listen, if I can't get him here when I get back from my trip, then Kathy's on the case, I guess. I mean, it is her house. I'm trying to be like, I want to be like, dude,
I'm going to tell my mom.
I'm trying to save you. Like, if I tell my mom. My mom tried to beat up a 13-year-old in the street when I was a kid because she took my No Doubt CD. Like, my mom is on another level, bro. This girl came over to my house for a sleepover party. We were a teenager, and the girl, like, took my No Doubt CD, and I, like, called her on the phone, and I was like, I think you took my No Doubt CD, and she's like, I'll bring it back. I don't even know why it was such an aggressive conversation, but, like, there was animosity there. I don't remember what it was.
Because we were
teenagers, yeah. And she comes back, and my mom's, like, yelling at her in the street, like, and my mom was standing on the
she probably didn't even know what No Doubt was.
My mom was standing on the curb, and the girl was standing in the street, and the girl was like, a mouthy teenager, and she was like, you won't hit me on your property. And my mom, a full-grown adult, stepped into the street and was like, I'll hit you here. Oh, so that's, like, you know, that's the kind of house I grew up in.
How are you not mouthier? Because with wind beneath my wings that gusty, I would have definitely been,
you know, when your parent is like that, I always was like, felt like I was like with the broom and the dustpan behind her, like sweeping up all the rubble. Oh, so damn. Like I was the opposite of that.
Really?
Like my little sister, both of my little sisters. Like one time I posted a picture of a sandwich that I ordered, a fucking sandwich that I ordered.
Right.
From a little restaurant in the neighborhood. I was like, oh my God, they put these huge jalapeno like slices on my sandwich. My sister, both of them, commented on the picture on Facebook. Where was that? I'll call them myself and tell them. I'm like, guys, I picked the jalapenos off. It was not that serious. They were both like, I can't believe you accepted a sandwich like that. Oh my God. And they were both like ready to like go on a rampage. Yeah.
Little Karens.
Yeah, little mini Kathys running around. So I do have to say to my sister sometimes, I'm like, WWKD. What would Kathy do?
Oh,
and if Kathy would act that way, maybe we should reassess.
Yikes.
And that's how we've like sort of gotten to a happy medium. My mom also does not listen to this podcast.
I was about to say none of them listen to this.
Yes.
Do they?
None of my family. My family does not support me.
No.
Our downloads would be way higher.
I think I want Kathy at work with me. Because I had something happen.
What happened?
Fucking, for the first time ever, I had a boy. He's 12, 11, 11, 12. He sent another boy to take some boy's apples, like a nerdier boy, but that could totally take him. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This kid's 6 feet tall in 6th grade. And you're fucking 4'9".
Yeah.
And you're a bully. He doesn't know his size.
Them little ones, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he sent another kid to take another kid's apples. Mm-hmm. And he takes them and the other kid comes back to the table and throws them at this kid, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching the whole interaction. I grabbed the apples from the kid and I go walk to the nerdy kid and I say, were you intending on giving these apples to this boy? And he was like, no, they stole them from me. And I was like, this simply will not sit. But as I grabbed the apples from the kid, the one kid, as I was walking away to the nerdy kid, he's like, give those back, you ugly old bitch. And I was like...
You're like, I cannot beat up a 5th grader. I cannot beat up a 5th grader.
No, he's in 6th grade.
I cannot beat up a 6th grader.
So I was walking to the apples. It didn't bother me. It didn't stink, but it did.
It stung a little. It stung a tiny bit.
I took care of the apple situation, and I was like, he fucking called me an ugly old bitch. So I walked back, and I was like, that's a first. I walked back, and I was like, listen here, little guy. I've been called worse by better people. And then the other kids on the table were like, woo, she told you, blah, blah, blah. And he got mad. And he got up and he stomped out of the cafeteria and went to the office. And I was like, what are you going to do? Write me up? So I was like, well played, little motherfucker. Right?
Oh my God.
So he walked out. And long story short, I tell my boyfriend who works with me. Yeah. I tell him, and it was just like, ouch, man. It just kept playing in my head. I was like, he called me an ugly old bitch. And up until like last year,
stung.
Up until last year, I was like, still the teacher that boys kind of thought was cute, you know? And I was like, oh my God, I've officially transitioned. And I was like, I'm fucking ugly and old.
You got to embrace that gray, I think.
Listen,
I think it's time to start embracing that gray.
I was just fine, man. I was just like, dang, that sucks. I had to meditate on that.
Kathy would have torn that boy apart.
Oh, she would have fought him. She would have been on the 6 o'clock news.
Yeah, Kathy don't care about fighting teenagers.
No. But, I was just like, whatever.
Kathy was day drinking that day. But it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's terrible. I admire some things about Kathy, to be honest with you.
She's highly entertaining.
Yes. You know what? She's sure of herself.
She certainly is.
I do have to say, though, most of us were day drinking during the whole COVID thing. I mean, at least I know I was.
Well, this was like 96, so.
I mean, she was practicing.
Yeah, she was practicing.
Yeah, she was really
She certainly drank all through COVID.
Well, here's the thing. I discovered a thing that's very effective for me to control my pervasive, invasive, and those thoughts that just stay around. That anxious feeling where you want to jump out of your skin.
I call that stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I found a way to control my stinking thinking.
Okay.
I removed myself from the situation. I do not receive that.
I don't receive that.
No, but really, what I do is I do a headstand.
Oh.
For long enough to the blood, so I'm uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. I do a headstand until I'm uncomfortable, and then I come out of a headstand, and all is well with the world again.
My parents had me when they were young, right?
Yeah.
It's safe to say that they did some partying, you know? And I was the kind of kid that, like, wanted to be around the adults. Like, always. I was like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing?
You were annoying.
You're so fucking annoying. And I was the only kid, really, for a long time, you know? I had a little sister, but she was like, we just didn't, you know?
Yeah.
And so my mom would be like, hun, why don't you show everybody how long you can do a headstand? And I'd be like, okay. And I would do a headstand on the side of the wall, and they would just fucking leave me there. And I would do it for like fucking 20, 30, 40 minutes until I was purple, till like I would like fall over and pass out. Yeah. And nobody fucking stopped this. No. Like true child abuse. Like I would just be like, look at me from across the room, like upside down, all the blood in my head, feet tingling because I've been
like
upside, I've been upside down for fucking 2 hours. My feet, there's no blood in my fucking feet, and I'm just like hanging out upside down. And she'd be like, good job, with her fucking solo cup.
Your mom. This is a Kathy-filled episode. Yeah. Your mom was living in the year 3000.
Yeah, she was a true fucking genius. An innovator in parenting.
I mean, she could write a book.
This would be the one episode she would decide to listen to.
She simply would be like, what is podcast?
Where can I see it? Anywho, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Cynthia's Cunthia.
Cunthia.
And I'm an ugly old bitch.
Ugly old bitch. Listen, Cunthia, can we have dessert?
I guess, maybe.
Looks like a cheesecake.
It is not.
It's not a cheesecake.
It is not.
All right, it's got a jello-y top. Seed-filled? Is that seeds?
No.
It can be.
It can be.
Wait, what the fuck? Okay, so it's like, it's got like a crust at the bottom.
Yes.
It's got like a white
like
filling.
A cheesecake.
Like cheesecake. And it has
a J-E-L-L-O?
It is not Jell-O.
What?
It is not Jell-O, and it is not cheesecake.
What the fuck is it?
This is a raspberry torte. Bitch, so it is a homemade raspberry jam on top. The white filling that you see is a mixture of marshmallow and Cool Whip mix.
What the fuck? First of all, are you going to be okay with this? Because you don't like that flan texture.
Marshmallow and Cool Whip is not flan.
It's definitely not.
That feels a little racist. What do you have against flan?
Marshmallow, a lot of people have that Cool texture issue with flan.
It's going to not be flan taste.
I promise you it's going to have a flan.
All right, we'll see.
Texture.
We'll see.
It has a graham cracker crust on the bottom.
It looks like a strawberry cheesecake.
Let me have some of that right the fuck now. I know this was not Dana's favorite.
I will say that the flavor was certainly there.
The flavor is always there.
I really like it had like this, it was almost like, you ever watch like Top Chef?
This feels very much like Top Chef.
Yeah. So you know when they have Top Chef and they're like, I made a foam. I made a mashed potato foam or a garlic foam. And they're just like, the way I always picture what the foam would taste like is like a ghost of whatever the flavor is. You know?
Like a...
Yeah. Right. Garlic. You know? But this was like a foam of marshmallow.
Yeah.
Like it didn't taste like, I mean, it was a hint of marshmallow.
Right.
It wasn't the texture of marshmallow. It wasn't the flavor of like the marshmallow you would get in like a s'more or something that was very marshmallowy. It was like marshmallow with the volume turned down a bit, you know, just like just a little bit. But
the thing is, though, with marshmallow, the volume is turned down.
Yeah, but marshmallow's got just like a very distinct, like,
it's a
marshmallow.
Cloud.
Yeah.
It's a cloud, and then a very hint of flavor. But it's the texture that like confuses you into thinking that there's a whole lot of flavor in there, but there really isn't.
You think?
Yes,
I don't know. Marshmallow's got a very distinct flavor. Maybe the raspberry jam.
It was overpowering.
Was very flavorful. Yes. Really, really flavorful. To the point that I took a little bit off just to see what the marshmallow tasted like.
To be able to taste it, yeah.
Yeah, because it was almost like a vehicle for the raspberry jam.
Yeah.
And of course, cranberry. I mean, graham cracker crust, not cranberry.
But here's the thing: I took the three apart like you did because I was like eating it, and I was like, "Oh, this is good." But I saw you, and you were like, "Okay, I'm struggling with this, right?" But I took the three apart. The first of all, that whipped cream, that Cool Whip marshmallow combo, I really like that, but it tasted like marshmallow pudding. marshmallow jello.
Marshmallow jello.
Right?
That's exactly what it tasted like.
And so I was like, ooh, I like this. It's really mild. But the raspberry is a very strong flavor. And this is a handmade raspberry, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can like taste the texture in that.
And it was a lot. It was like a real thick layer of it. And I love the two separately. Combined, it was more, you could just taste the raspberry and the graham cracker. You couldn't really taste the marshmallow filling.
I think that the marshmallow filling kind of gave that raspberry jam a little bit of sweetness that it needs, because it's pretty tart.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty tart.
Yeah.
So it balances it out pretty well. But
not your favorite texture, was
not
it?
my favorite texture, definitely no. But not as bad as flan, but not quite as...
You're a racist.
Flan has like a slimy texture that this doesn't really have. This is even a little like dry in that, like airy.
I like
in
that.
The sense of a marshmallow.
I like this, and I like the flan. I do like this texture though.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't.
Yeah, no, I know.
But the flavor is there, and it's not as wet, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
I guess part of the reason that, which I was just saying to you when Cynthia was out of the room, is that my ex's favorite dessert is flan. So there may be a little bit of that going on, but she also would make flan, and then she would get these little slithers. She would slither it away piece by piece, and she would go, and then take a little slither and go.
Oh,
and
fully cut her.
Yeah, so like I'm just like everything about flan, from like the making of it and the big mess that it makes, and then the slurp, and then all the dirty dishes. I was like, I fucking hate flan. Like I hate everything about flan. So maybe in a couple years I'll like flan, but
honestly, flan is one of the easiest desserts I've ever made, in the sense of I use just the blender,
right?
Just a double boiler, and we're done. So the fact that you had such a mess, I think that was your ex problem.
Yes, I think that's probably true. That's probably true.
Anywho.
Also, the boy.
Yes, my son did come in
and took 2 massive pieces.
He came back for second. So I mean, that is saying something.
Listen,
he doesn't like anything. So the fact that he liked it, I was shoveling it right onto his plate.
Take it.
This was delicious, and it looked beautiful.
Yeah, it's really stunning.
If you don't like textures, then that's a different,
Yeah, that's a me problem.
Yeah, that's like a different thing. Yeah. But the flavors were definitely there. Anytime you see something that Cynthia has made, you will know that the flavor is always there.
Sure. I mean, she's never really brought us anything where I was like, I wish this had more flavor. I wish that tasted better.
Even when she makes the claim that there's no salt in it. There's salt.
I mean, sometimes I need salt, but I like salt. What can you say?
Calling all movie buffs, cinema lovers, and film fanatics, welcome to the Silver Screen Savers podcast.
I'm Michael Gallup.
I'm Matt Sturdivant.
And I'm Tyler Sutkus.
And we're a show for movie fans by movie fans.
Every week, you can catch us discussing the world of cinema, including dissection of films both new and old, our takes on what's to come, career retrospectives of the most prolific names in the business, and much, much more.
Listen in via your favorite podcasting apps, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, and more. You could also join the discussion and leave suggestions for future content by writing to us at silverscreensaverspod@gmail.com, following us at ScreensaversPod on both Instagram and Twitter, as well as liking us on Facebook at Silver Screen Savers Podcast. We'll see you at the cinema.
Listen, I have a story.
I'm looking forward to it.
I got my story from Wikipedia.com. Wikipedia.org. It's an org.
It's an organization.
AllThat'sInteresting.com, Medium.com, and YouTube. Dateline 2017, An Invitation to Murder.
Oh, shit.
Yes. It was, Dateline episode.
Sorry, I got the chills.
Look at where I'm at.
It was the murder. Mark Winger was born on November 26, 1962 in Elyria, Ohio, to Jared and Sally Winger. Donna Brown Winger, his wife, was born on November 10th, 1963. Donna was born and raised in Hollywood, Florida. She was the daughter of Sarah Drescher and Cash Brown. She also had 3 sisters who were very close. Her family and friends described her as optimistic, cheerful, and an overall fun girl.
Okay.
She attended Hollywood Hills High School and college thereafter. Mark Winger was born and raised in the town of Elyria, Illinois. He also has a sister and an older brother.
Okay.
As a youngster, Winger was known to be an introverted person with a friendly attitude. He was an outstanding student, and when he finished high school, he got several scholarships to study at different universities. He ended up deciding on a military institute where he graduated as a nuclear engineer and rose to the ranks of lieutenant. He was like Simpson, the Homer Simpson.
No, he wasn't.
Anywho, so after that, Winger's personality started to change. He got this cushy job, started to change. He was no longer an introvert. He was always acting nice to people's face, but behind that was an arrogant attitude from his position of power. And he liked to harass those that were under him. According to those who knew him, he served a year in Korea as a lieutenant, and due to his attitude and several complaints from his subordinates, he returned to the United States. And this stopped him from the opportunity to be promoted to captain.
His attitude?
He was, he got drunk with power, and he would abuse his subordinates, and,
It's like a nerd with power.
Yeah.
He was always like kind of like...
Yeah.
And then he got a little power and he abused it.
Yep.
Hate that.
Uh-huh. So it was in 1990 that Donna and Mark met. His brother, who worked at the same hospital as Donna, set them up on a blind date where she was quickly charmed by Mark's kind and gentle personality without really knowing who was behind the charm.
Okay.
These sociopaths have a very good way of charming us into thinking that they are,
a nice guy.
And, best interests at heart.
Right.
And really tuned into your feelings.
Yeah.
And, got everybody charmed, right? You got to be careful with those. So they started dating, and after a few months, they were officially a couple. So Mark Winger had captivated not only Donna, but her parents and sisters, who were thrilled to have him as their daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah, I guess so.
Over the years, the couple grew stronger until finally in 1995, they married in a Jewish ceremony.
Okay.
Because they were both Jewish.
Makes sense.
That's right. All their family and friends were present. 2 years later, they moved to Springfield, Illinois. See, that's the Homer Simpson. He's working at a nuclear power plant. He's in Springfield. Yes. Although the Simpsons never established if it was a Springfield, Illinois.
No, there's many Springfields.
There's many Springfields with nuclear power plants. That's the word. He had landed a good job at a power plant as a nuclear engineer, while Donna found a job at a local hospital. Everything seemed to be going very well in the marriage, at least for the family, friends, and acquaintances nearby.
Okay.
It was a dream marriage for everybody around them. They quickly became loved by everyone in the neighborhood. They hosted parties and get-togethers. They attended church and participated in charity events. They were that young couple that you're like, oh, I wish our relationship was like that. Be careful what you wish for. So, still, as we are used to these cases, all is not what it seems.
Yes. Never in a sleepy town.
No, never in a sleepy town, Dateline. So, as we already know, Mark Winger was an arrogant individual, right? Because that's why he was, not promoted.
Power, yeah.
He was fucking drunk with power. So, he was an abusive and controlling person, but he did an outstanding job of covering these personality flaws. However, they were married now for 6 years. Something was bothering him about the marriage, and that was that Donna couldn't have children.
Oh, God.
So, Mark Winger dreamed about having a big family with lots of kids, and as an alternative to that, they started the paperwork to adopt a baby. So, in July 1995, after many months of paperwork, they managed to adopt. And it also seemed to be joy and happiness for the couple. However, Less than 3 months later, that fairy tale marriage would have a tragic end. About 2 months before the event, before, this culmination. No. Before before this happens that I'm about to tell you is going to happen, right? Winger began a relationship with Deanne Schultz, a colleague of Donna's.
Oh, shit.
Now, Deanne is going to be the ultimate cunt.
A cunthia, if you will?
A cunthia.
No. No. That's my title and solely my title.
So Deanne worked with Mark's wife, Donna, at the hospital. And she gets very close to Donna and the family, becomes besties. Always there. Such was the relationship between them that the family considered her one more relative. Fuck. Come on. So Deanne had been married to John Schultz for several years. And in 1995, the marriage was going through a crisis. They were about to divorce. And with the excuse of trying to help and, being the mediator between the two, Mark frequently went to Deanne's house to talk to her. But in reality, bound chicka bow wow, they were having sex. Now, that's his wife's best friend. But it gets better. The event that pushed things to the tipping point came just days before. Okay? Donna visited Florida with her daughter Bailey for the weekend without Mark. She went to go take the baby to see the grandparents in Florida. Okay, so they lived in Illinois, right? They had a great few days together and then she went home. Donna's parents hired a car company to take her from the airport to her home so that she wouldn't have to worry. Because it was like a 2-hour drive and they just wanted her to sit back and relax.
That's nice, yeah.
Okay, only that's what sealed her fate. Okay, on her way home, the driver who took Donna on this occasion was Roger Harrington. The journey was quite uncomfortable for Donna because Roger was strange and said things that scared her. He told her some fucking hella weird shit while he was driving. So she goes to offer him a muffin and he says no. He's like, thank you. I'm not eating today. I'm anorexic.
Okay.
How do you even fucking react when somebody says that? Right?
They're like, okay, all right. Yeah.
So anyway,
oh my God.
Then he starts fucking driving faster. And Donna tells him to slow down.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Besides, I'm in a hurry. I have to get home early, right?
This is before the days of Uber, right? This is actual taxi,
Yeah, this is
right?
the 1990s.
Oh,
this is
okay.
95.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So, definitely one of the scarier things that he says is that when he was younger, he played with a Ouija board and he could talk to spirits. He talked about a particular spirit named Dom, who said he was a blood-sucking dragon who sometimes told him to do bad things without making it clear and specific what those bad things were.
So he's
weird.
He's mentally ill.
I don't know. I don't know if he was mentally ill. There was just definitely something off about him, and he was just being very weird.
Okay.
And he said that Dom, I guess he's mentally ill, right? If he has
it
voices.
sounds like he's maybe schizophrenic or something.
Right.
Or some sort of.
I don't know, man. It was weird, right? So for the rest of the trip, Donna tried not to talk much with him. Whenever he said something, she answered him nervously and with few words, right?
And she's got the baby with her.
She's got the fucking baby. And it's a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Bro, that's fucking uncomfortable to sit with that. You know what I mean? So she tried to agree with everything he said since she was fucking absolutely terrified and she didn't want to make him angry. He's speeding and saying this shit. And she has a baby. So once she gets home, she gets out of the car, locks herself inside the house, and she calls her parents to tell them about the whole situation, and they tried to calm her down. After a few hours, her husband comes home from work. Again, she tells him the whole fucking thing, right? And he's like, he tries to reassure her, tries to calm her down, and he tells her, it'll be a good idea if you write this down word for word in a notebook as proof in case we want to sue the company or something,
Okay.
That sounds normal, right? With that context, we go to the day of the events.
Okay.
And we're going to see this from the perspective of Mark Winger.
Okay.
What he says happened. Although that's not exactly what happened.
Oh, of course not.
Right.
Never is.
Right. So it's August 29th, 1995. Mark Winger is in the basement of his house. He's doing exercises. He's on the treadmill. He's trying to work out, right? He hears noises upstairs. So when he goes upstairs, he sees that in his bedroom is his 3-month-old daughter lying on the bed. No trace of Donna. And, you know, a 3-month-old can just roll over.
Yeah, we're not.
You wouldn't leave her on a bed, right? So he becomes concerned, but he hears more noises coming from the dining room area. So he grabs his gun.
Good.
And he goes into the dining room where he sees a man standing over Donna, who's on her knees, hitting her over the head with a hammer.
Fuck.
After seeing this, he shoots him in the head twice and calls 911.
911 emergency, what's emergency? Help me! My God, my wife's breathing. Okay, you need an ambulance? I need everything!
Springfield Police.
Yes, help me.
What's the problem?
I just shot this man in my house.
He's inside your house right now?
He beat my wife.
Is he in there right now?
Yes,
Does he have a gun?
Her brains are everywhere.
Where's the man at?
He's laying on the floor.
Is he dead?
I don't know. He's making weird sounds.
Sir, slow down. I can't understand you. Slow down. Is the man still in your house?
Yes, he's laying there on the floor with a bullet in his head.
Did you shoot him?
Yes, I shot him. He was killing my wife. Please, my baby's crying. I gotta go. I'll call you right back. Hello?
Winger?
Yes.
This is the police department. We've got officers en route. I need to know what's going on there.
My wife is dying on the floor.
Okay, is she still alive?
I think so.
Okay, we've got ambulance en route and we've got police officers en route. Where is the gun?
I left it on the table. It's on the table. Please,
Okay.
God, please come here.
We've got people on the way.
Okay.
Who is this man?
I don't know who he is.
He's still inside the house?
Yes, he's laying on the floor. Okay, I gotta hold my wife. I gotta get to my wife.
Okay, are you Mark Winger?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and your wife is Donna?
Yes, she is.
When did the man come there?
I know, a few minutes ago. Wait, I gotta get to my wife. Please, just let me get to my wife. I won't hang up, okay?
Okay, we've got officers en route.
Okay, my door's open. Okay.
That was a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
I'm going to explain. He gets off the phone with him. He says his baby's crying. And
Yeah.
he hangs up. And then he calls back. That's the second call.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to tell you what actually happened.
Okay.
So that was a lot, right? Like, really tragic and traumatic and everything.
He's very yelly and
very agitated. And I always love it when the 911 operator says, calm down. I can't understand you. I'm like, bitch.
But, like, you really can't help them when they're freaking the fuck out.
Well, the police was already on their way.
I know, but, like, I will say that, like, you know, I went to EMT school.
Oh, that's right.
So, like, part of knowing who to send, what to send, and what they're expecting in there is, like, the EMT cannot go into the house until the police clear the area. So, like, they're not gonna, if they think that there could be an active shooter, they're not going to send the ambulance in no matter who's bleeding.
Oh, shit.
So, like, the cops have to go in first. So, like, that is part of the reason why they're like, I need you to calm down. I need you to tell me, like, everything you can about the scene. Because they're going to, like, even if the ambulance get there 10 minutes before the cops get there, the ambulance will not go in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, they probably would never get there that fast. But
Right.
I'm just saying, they would not. I mean, that's just this area. I'm just speaking for the schooling that I went to. But, like, the ambulance would not go in unless the scene has been cleared by the police. Like, they will not even in like a bomb situation or like a fire or something. Like,
really?
The fire department is a different situation because they're trained differently. Yeah. But the EMT will not go in to help that situation if there's the possibility of like weapons.
Active shooter.
Yeah, an active shooter or someone with a knife. That
makes sense.
Because the ambulance is not trained to, de-escalate that situation.
Right.
So that's part of the reason that they're like, hey, you need to calm the fuck down and tell us what's going on. When they're like flipping out like that,
right?
It is like, bro, chill the fuck out. Especially since you're probably the one that killed your wife.
Also,
you know what I mean?
Right. But I was just like, why do you have to add that her brains are everywhere?
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
I heard that. All I heard was like, it's hard to tell with like so much yelling.
Right.
Her brains are everywhere. Oh,
that's what he started with.
That's a lot.
That is a fucking lot. Food for thought.
No, thank you.
I'm just saying, when you hear, like, you're going to be like, that was completely...
That's a detail,
an unnecessary
detail.
like a gratuitous detail. Yeah, like a descriptor that would only be of somebody who wasn't truly feeling the feelings of shock and, and painfulness. Like, if your child, God forbid, if you were describing that scene about your child, the least thing that you would do is describe the mess. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You'd be like, I need my son's not breathing. You know what I mean? I need help for him. You wouldn't say his brains are everywhere. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
It just seems... Ugh. Anyway, let me just tell you the story, right? So the police arrive at the scene, and as soon as they entered the house, they could already see Donna's body and the man's body on the floor, right? They began securing the scene and collecting evidence. So the cops, it's funny that you said that, because the cops, the detectives come in, and it was one detective in particular. He had a camera. It was like about to go dead or something, had little film in it or whatever. And he took the pictures real quick. 3 Polaroids real quick before the EMT started working on the bodies, because they were still alive.
Oh, shit.
Okay, there was no way they were going to survive. Like, literally, her brains were everywhere, and so were his. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just...
But yeah.
No, but like, I did the story where Christopher Porco fucking beat his mom to death with an axe. Yeah. And her brains were out of her freaking head, but she still survived.
Right, yeah.
The police, the detective, took a wallet out of the man's pants and obtained his identification. Actually, the detective at the scene, Charlie Cox, recognized the man in front of him as Roger Lee Harrington, the same man who rented a trailer in the park that Charlie owned. He was one of his tenants.
Okay. Like a trailer park?
Yeah, so the cop, the detective, owned a trailer park. Okay. He was familiar with Charlie Cox.
So he knew him, yeah.
In the sense that was his tenant, and also in the sense that the police had been called to his home on several occasions. So then they questioned Winger, who was in his bedroom shocked. He was just, sitting there in fucking shock, rocking back and forth. He told him that when he got to the dining room, he saw this man beating his wife over the head with a hammer, so he shot him. And he says that Roger fell on his back. Then he tried to get up and he re-shot him because he had to explain for the 2 bullets. Okay. But when he first called, if you listen to the 911 call, he said, I put a bullet in his head. Uh-huh. The second bullet came when he said that the baby was crying, and it was because Mark was making noises and he was still quite alive and could have possibly survived. Shit. So he had to shoot him a second time.
Fuck.
Yes. That's why he said, my baby's crying. He hung up. The neighbors heard that shot, and they were able to collaborate.
Like minutes and minutes apart?
Yes, 5 minutes apart. Shit. And I'll go back to that.
Was it just me during that 911? You kind of heard some mumbling in the background. Yeah. So it wasn't just me hearing that.
That's the victim?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But she was dead, or almost.
She was almost dead. She still had, she still had a pulse, I guess.
Oh, my God.
She was still living. All right. When the officer told him who it was, Winger said that he was the man who had harassed his wife a few days ago. Because remember he was like really weird.
The taxi driver guy?
Yeah.
Shit.
Right. The detectives also saw the note where Donna had written down what she had experienced during the trip with Roger. Remember, he drove her back from the airport. So Charlie Cox knew of Roger's troubled past, knowing that he had reports of abuse and temper issues, and was quite capable of doing these things, He was a troubled person. Yeah. The investigators gathered all the evidence, but the case was solved, to tell the truth, with Winger's story. They were like, yeah, sounds about right. Roger was a problematic person. So the story was that Roger had entered the house in a nasty mood and killed the woman in question. He thought that he had come... The thought was that he had come to get revenge for being fired for the Winger's complaint, and he wanted to kill Donna for having complained about him. He had lost his job. In fact, the police closed the case in 3 days, declaring Roger as Donna's killer and leaving Winger as if he had acted in self-defense, avoiding any punishment for having shot him. So, still, there were some inconsistencies in the story told by Winger and the evidence that had been found. And here's the things that were off with his story. Okay. The position of the bodies didn't coincide with the stories. The way that the bodies landed in death. Okay. It just didn't match, right? Roger's car was in front of the house, and inside the vehicle, they found a sticky note that had a house address written, the name Mark Winger, and a timetable. So I think it was like 4:30 or something. And the house address, Mark Winger. As if he had an appointment to be there.
Okay.
Right? The detectives at the time didn't believe that these things were very relevant, even though it seemed apparent that the note was not typical or that it didn't match the events unfolded. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you have a sticky note saying the person's name and you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do that if you were like going there strictly to kill somebody?
I think what doesn't match for me would be the time. So the 4:30 time. A specific time. The address, the name, basically the target.
But did they know him outside of the taxi route? Like,
no.
Did he know that they were the ones that complained about them? Like, did he have an appointment to go there? I
mean, he was suspended from work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so they decided to ignore it, the detectives.
Okay.
They were like, it's an open and
love
shut
ignoring
case, right?
evidence, yeah.
It was not a significant change. It wouldn't have made a significant change to the case, but added to what I told you before, plus the fact that the hammer found at the scene belonged to the Wingers, the murder weapon. It didn't look so obvious, but Winger said that Donna left the hammer there to remind him to hang up a hat rack. They were like, well, why was there a hammer out? And he was like, well, my wife left it because she wanted to remind me to hang something up, right? So Roger just arrived at the house. So we're led to believe that Roger just arrived at the house holding a travel mug of coffee and a pack of fucking cigarettes. And he saw the hammer. And with that, he decided to kill Donna. I mean, it's possible, but quite unlikely.
Yeah.
Also, inside his car, he had several things that he could have used as a weapon. He had a crowbar. He had a knife, you know. But he didn't decide to do that. He decided to go in and use the hammer that he found on the table.
Almost like when he got there, he decided to kill her. Like, it wasn't his plan to finish it.
Like if he snapped at that moment, right? So he didn't even know if Mark Winger was going to be there or not. You know what I'm saying?
If he had snapped, he probably wouldn't have had the address, the email, the name all written out right there. If it would have been a snapping type of situation, he probably would have gone by memory, drove right over and just done it. And definitely taken whatever was in the car.
A more convenient weapon than a hammer.
A more convenient weapon.
Right. But he could have also written a sticky note, like gone into his files at work and been like, okay, this is the motherfucker that hired me, and getting his, you know what I'm saying? So all of those things could be easily explained.
Sure.
Create a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
Right?
Which is all you need.
Which is all you need, right?
Yeah.
So the thing had been put to bed, right? The story had been put to bed as long as law enforcement was concerned, right? But Mark Winger, started to act strange. Because, you know, people who feel no remorse, people who feel no love lost when they've lost somebody that they loved at their own hands will start acting really egregious right after. You know what I'm saying?
Almost like guilty feet have gotten over them.
I love that for you. Go stand in the fucking corner. Good Lord, girl. All right, so he starts drinking too much, going to the bars, and watching very violent movies. Pulp Fiction and the such, right? You know, where like somebody gets shot in the fucking... You ever seen that movie?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Somebody gets shot in the fucking head and the brains go all over the place? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You would not watch that after having done that, would you?
No, I probably wouldn't.
Right?
No, yeah.
Like it would leave a bad taste in your mouth. You'd want to like put a little distance between the actual event and the events portrayed, right?
Yeah.
So, even though it was weird... Every person grieves differently. Although I say fuck that. All right. So some people laugh at others. You know? Some people, when they're grieving, they laugh.
Yeah.
Some people block things out. They don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
Some people fall into substance abuse as like a way to, you know, a mechanism for loss, right? There's even those who don't stop partying.
Yeah.
Right? They just continue to party.
Sure.
Casey Anthony.
Uh-huh.
Right? Although, I mean, guilty feet have gotten over them. Anywho, but this man's attitudes weren't part of grieving. Okay. All right? So, I mean, he had to rebuild his life without his wife, and he had to still take care of a 3-month-old daughter, right? So, a few weeks after Donna dies, he hires a nanny to help raise Bailey. It was Rebecca Simic, a 23-year-old girl.
Okay.
Donna's mother had recommended him hiring a girl to help around the house because it seemed like too much for him. So Sarah, Donna's mom, wanted to help and be a part of her granddaughter's life, although it seemed that wasn't Winger's idea.
Yeah.
Because if you kill somebody, you don't want their family around.
Right, certainly not.
Right. So Rebecca spent most days with the baby and played with her. Rebecca, the nanny.
The nanny, yeah.
And she fed, bathed, and even stayed there once Winger would get home from work. So even though she was the nanny, she would stay there when he would get home. And soon, they started falling for each other.
Oh.
In Rebecca's eyes, he was a loving father, a kind man, and the hero who killed his wife's killer. It didn't take long until Rebecca fell into Winger's trap.
Oh, boy.
And it all started to come out less than 3 months after Donna's murder.
Shit.
So he was like moving right on. Everyone found that...
in poor taste.
Yeah, just strange and confusing, really. Yeah. Like, okay, but they were like, you know, well, maybe he's grieving and that's part of his grieving and getting over his wife's death. Yeah. And, you know, it's all valid and we're still going to support him. Sure. And everyone grieves in their own way.
And everybody just believed that his story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They had no reason not to, because when Roger took her home, she was so distraught and called everybody and said, oh my God, I had such a weird experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And everybody knew Mark as like such a great guy.
Yeah.
So.
Very gross.
Fucking perfect crime.
Very gross.
Right? Perfect crime.
Yeah.
So, Mark Winger did this one thing. He would not leave well enough alone. He kept going to the police station. And this was his, like, way of, like, checking in, like, are you on to me? Are you on to me? Uh-huh. And soon...
Can never leave well enough alone.
Oh, my God, no. So... he fucking, like, started to create doubts in the detectives' minds, because the detectives have seen this shit before. Criminals who want to interject themselves into the investigation. Like, are you on to me yet? Yeah. Are you on to me yet? You know?
And they weren't even thinking about you.
No! They had put that shit to rest.
Oh, my God.
So one day, Mark comes in, and he insists that Detective Cox give him back his gun. And the detective was like, oh, that's fucking weird, but sure. You know, why would you want the gun that you just... tragically killed a man in your house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, he was going to give it back to him. All right. It's not customary in these types of situations for the...
So it's part of a murder investigation.
Right.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why rush it? Like, you know. So Cox invited Winger over and he's like, they're just talking, you know. He's like, sure, come and get it, whatever, you know. And they start talking. And Cox realized that Winger was trying to get information. Like... almost like, what do you know? Like, are you guys still looking into this? You know?
Really?
Yeah, and he was just like, you know, his spidey senses started tingling, right?
Interesting.
So if he wanted to know if the investigation was still closed, right? And if they were trying to look for more clues. Yeah, but they were like, are you guys, you know, like looking into anything?
What a fucking idiot.
Right? So a short 6 months after Donna died, Rebecca got pregnant by Mark.
Okay.
The nanny. Little by little, Winger was pushing everything away about Donna in his life. You know, like the family, everybody, the friends, like he was just like rubbing her out of his life, right? So he told her parents that he would not allow his daughter to see them anymore.
His parents or her parents?
Her parents.
Okay.
All right. And he did all the paperwork to get the legal parents to be him and Rebecca. Because, you know, he had this little adopted baby.
Yeah.
Sarah, of course. Sarah's Donna's mom. Have I made that clear?
Yeah.
She was devastated and she couldn't understand where it all came from. She had been nothing but supportive to him.
Yeah.
Right? At that time, Mark Winger had asked for financial help for the crime against his wife from the Victims Fund.
Okay.
And he got about $25,000 for that. And he also had a life insurance policy in which he collected $150,000.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. So eventually, Winger and Rebecca got married. And he converted to Catholicism.
Oh, shit.
And he told his rabbi it was because Judaism is not as forgiving as Catholicism. Which the rabbi was like, come again? Like, what do you need to be forgiven for?
Yeah.
So anyway, so he converts to Catholicism and he marries Becky. He marries Rebecca. All right. So they had 3 kids together besides Bailey. Like right away they just have a bunch of kids.
Okay.
And it looked like Winger had completely reset his life. They had sold the house and they moved into a new big place, a farmhouse with lots of land and a pond and like fucking idyllic place for his kids to grow up and play, right?
Yeah.
Even if everything was fine, Winger had a secret too heavy to hide, and it wouldn't last long, okay? Because somebody out there was keeping his secret for him.
Okay.
And this was an ex now.
Uh-oh.
Everything continued like this until 1998. So he goes to the hospital because he wasn't feeling well. He went to the same hospital where Donna's best friend was working.
The one he was having an affair with.
The one he was fucking.
Yeah.
Right? A few days later, Deanne went to the police to report what she knew. Let me tell you a little bit something about Deanne. After Mark murdered his wife, Deanne was still in the picture. They were still together. But he met the nanny, Rebecca, who was 23.
And dropped her like a hot potato.
And dropped her like a fucking hot potato. And she was not feeling
Not
that.
having it. So she knew it was in on the murder.
She knew. She definitely knew.
Oh, honey, that was not smart.
So Deanne goes to the police, the detectives. This is now years later.
Yeah.
She claims that she's been living with this guilt and depression, and she has attempted suicide, and she's, just
Nasty.
drinking and spiraling.
It's odd that I feel very little compassion for her.
Yes. So Deanne's testimony is that she had an extramarital affair a month before the events and even months after. All right. Her best friend. With friends like that, who needs enemies,
Truly,
honestly.
my God.
So she said he had repeatedly expressed his desire to end his marriage to Donna and had even alluded to the thought that they might try to kill her to get her out of the way. And if it weren't already highly suspicious, I don't know what would be. Because,
yeah,
that's all I need to hear.
Yeah, truly.
That he mentioned it.
Right.
So, in fact, I will remind you that Deanne was Donna's friend. A friend very close to her was there at the house every day. However, she had also been Winger's lover, and after the murder, she said she felt guilty and pressured by him. And he was starting to push her out of his life, too, because he wanted Rebecca.
Yeah.
23-year-old Rebecca.
Jeez Louise.
Despite everything, she went into a deep depression and even tried to kill herself. When she saw Winger in the hospital that day with his new lovely bride.
And all their brood of children.
It was like a trigger for her to finally tell.
Oh, finally.
Fucker. Ugh. Anyway, the strange inaccuracies from the first investigation, which detectives said weren't that important, with this new testimony brought a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
All right? So the case was reopened, this time with the focus on Winger as the prime suspect. He was later arrested and jailed until trial. And I mention that because he could have been bailed out until trial, right?
Uh-huh.
If he would have had enough bail. You can get jailed until trial, or you can be bailed out and, be at home and await trial, right? I said that for a reason. I'll revisit that.
Okay.
So all the evidence they had gathered was reviewed, and there had been many inconsistencies to start with. But Deanne's testimony and the crime scene not matching the positions of the body, in addition to blood splatter analysis, concluded they did not match what Winger had said, nor did it mean that Roger had done it. Okay, so let me explain that. So fucking Winger gets exonerated. You're scotch-free, you acted in self-defense. Yeah. But he gets fucking greedy. And he sues. Is it scot-free?
Scot-free.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I said scotch-free.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been saying that wrong for years. It is what it is.
Scot.
Okay, scot-free.
Yeah.
So he gets off scotch-free. Scot-free. And he fucking gets greedy.
Right.
And he tries to sue the transportation company that fucking Roger worked for. And they mount their own investigation. And they do blood splatter analysis. And they check their phone records. And they're like, no, motherfucker, you called him and had him come over.
Oh,
so
shit.
how the fuck is he...
Time out. The car company does this investigation but doesn't pursue it? Or they do?
No, because it's two separate trials.
Oh my God.
It's two separate things.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But they didn't give this information to the police to try to...
No, because the police had already closed the case.
Fuck.
In the O.J. Simpson trial, he was found guilty in civil court, innocent in criminal court.
Right.
So that is a thing that can happen.
Right, but considering Mark had never been tried, once that investigation mounted and they found all this evidence, you would think that they would give it to the police and be like, hey guys, you dropped the ball
That's
here.
exactly what happened.
Oh, okay.
This was a few years later.
Oh, okay. This was later. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
This was a few years later. And so to defend themselves, they came up with all this stuff. And at the same time, it coincided with Deanne's testimony.
God.
And they were like, oh, thank you kindly. Because had you not done that, we wouldn't have had all these expert, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So he got greedy.
He got fucking greedy, motherfucker.
As is,
I mean,
you know, in the nature of a murderous asshole.
Yeah.
Tried to sue the car company. And they are the ones that figured it out.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. They got all this superfluous evidence, whereas Deanne had already opened the door of doubt.
Yeah.
They closed the deal.
And he was over there poking his nose around at the police station.
At the police station saying, hey, you guys.
So why didn't he have money to get bailed out?
Well, it was a $2 million bailout.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
The fact that he even had a bail option is not always common in a capital murder case either.
Yeah, but okay, so put a paperclip in there.
Okay.
All right. So for almost 3 years, the prosecution gathered all the evidence and testimony that was able to finally bring Mark Winger to justice on May 20, 2002. So remember, 1998, all this new stuff comes to light. The crime happened in 95.
Right.
By 98, Deanne had come forward. The lawsuit between the transportation company and Winger had found all this stuff.
Oh my God.
Then the prosecution took all of that. So by 2002, the wheels of justice work slowly, but
they get there.
Sometimes
in the
they
end,
do. Sometimes they do. I can't
Especially
say all
when you
the
start
time.
fucking with someone's some big transportation company's money.
Yeah. Listen.
Then the wheels real start turning.
All you have to do is legally. Civilly sue somebody.
Yeah.
When it comes to money,
That's right.
they will pull out all the fucking evidence.
Forensic files, all that
Yes.
shit.
I saw a TikTok where it says, you want to stop police officers from getting away with murdering black men?
Yep.
Give them life insurance policies. Because them life insurance companies will fucking fight the law.
That's so fucking
to not have
dark.
to pay that out. It's fucking dark, but it is so true.
fucking dark, but it's...
Life isn't worth anything.
God.
It's the money behind it.
Oh, that's so gross.
Isn't it gross?
No, I saw that TikTok and I was like, I was like, dark, bro.
The trial lasted 2 weeks. Roger had not gone to the home to kill Donna, but had been invited by Mark Winger himself. They obtained Winger's phone records with the company where Roger worked. Are you a fucking
called the
moron?
job. Yeah.
He had called the guy's boss, the owner of the company.
Yeah.
And said, hey, I want to meet with him. I feel kind of bad about what happened.
Yeah.
There was a fucking record of
the
it,
guy
you moron.
was like, also the boss was like, sure, here's his number.
Yeah. Because it was all innocent. He didn't know that he was sending him to a murder.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to resolve a dispute.
Have the guy come back to work, whatever.
Yeah, So they obtained the phone records from where Roger worked and had testimony from employees at the time. All right. They determined that Winger asked Roger to the house to talk about the trip that, had made Donna so uncomfortable and to settle things on good terms so that Roger could get his job back.
Yeah.
And even Roger's family said that he was excited to put this all to bed because he really wanted his job.
Yeah.
So there was no sign of forced entry in the house, so they can say that Roger was invited inside.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, he was carrying a fucking coffee cup and cigarettes. You don't fucking do that to a murder.
Right, yeah.
You're pretty chill if you're carrying those things in your hand. So everything led the prosecution to formulate the following hypothesis, and this is what they think happened. Winger was tired of his marriage and wanted to be with Deanne. When Donna told him about the terrifying ride that she had with Roger, it gave the perfect opportunity to commit the crime and blame it on Roger, right? To get away with it. Mm-hmm. He arranged the meeting with Roger, and he murdered his wife minutes before he arrived. Like, he already had hit her over the head with a hammer 7 times.
Shit.
Over the back of the head. Then he made him enter the house, and he did not kill Roger near the place where his wife's body was. He prepared everything to make believe that Roger had been the murderer and that he had acted in self-defense. So in other words, he had moved the body. He had, The body had been repositioned. For this part, Winger refused to testify at his trial, and all attempts by the defense to prove his innocence ultimately failed. Winger was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree double homicide of Donna Winger and Roger Harrington. Currently, Winger continues to serve his sentence in jail. And in 2007, he was prosecuted again because while in prison, he wanted to hire an inmate to kill Deanne.
No.
And one of his childhood friends who had not wanted to cover his bail. You fucker. The $2 million in bail?
Bro.
I'll be like, new phone, who this? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to take out a loan against my house to bail your fucking
After you murdered? Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
So the inmate...
I wouldn't do that for my best fucking friend.
I wouldn't do that for my mom.
Yeah, fuck out
for my child.
Yeah.
All right, so the inmate reported him, and for this, he was sentenced to 35 additional years in prison, inmate. Right? So Rebecca separated from him when he was arrested as a suspect and is now together with her children. They are currently volunteering in organizations that help children of people in prison.
The family is?
Yes. Rebecca and her 4 kids by him. Oh Bailey and the 3 kids that they had together.
Oh my God, she still got Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
That's
well,
great.
she adopted her.
Oh, okay.
And yes, and she, and she says that that Bailey made her a mother, and she reunited Bailey with her relatives, Sarah and Sarah Drescher, Donna's mother.
Oh,
and everything.
good.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Yeah,
she was like a nice kid.
She really believed that her husband was a hero, and they all supported this fucker.
If he would have just shut the fuck up, not that he.
I'm glad he didn't, because he was a fucking complete piece of shit. But the Dateline episode is like one of those things where you curl up in bed and you're like.
I feel like I remember seeing that on like a Forensic Files or something. Sure yeah, I like remember setting the guy up, like the taxi ride or whatever, and setting him up that his body was facing the wrong way.
Yeah. Yep.
Or something, like she was laying one way and he was laying the other, and it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I vaguely think I saw the Polaroids or whatever in that Forensic Files episode.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
How do you fucking do that?
I just don't understand, like, I don't know. I'm divorced. You've been divorced twice. Like, it just, like, in my head is never like, I think it would be easier if you were dead. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, like, doesn't seem like a very easy way to, like, unwind an uncomfortable situation. You know what I mean? Like, just don't be with them anymore. It's, like, not that big of a deal. Why do you have to kill them very violently? That's so violent. And, like, this poor guy that had nothing to do with it, that just, like, by happenstance gave her a weird taxi ride a couple of days before.
Right. No, he was definitely, like, there was something definitely weird, and like more beyond weird. Like he had a domestic violence history.
Right, but he had nothing to do with their relationship or like how to like he showed up there and he got killed for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Mm-hmm.
Oh,
if he's thinking that the Ouija board had affected him that badly and that he had this spirit following him.
That's a mental
illness. That's a little, that comes across as schizophrenic.
Right, but did he deserve to die?
No, my God, never. Not but that's my whole point, is that he's just like ostensibly like a random guy.
Right.
That just...
Wrong place, the wrong time.
Yeah, true. I mean, there's no true definition of wrong place, wrong time. Like,
he was a fucking scapegoat for this guy. God. And like, think about it. He felt like this fell right on his lap. Like...
He just happened to give somebody a ride home.
Yeah. And he was like, ooh, tell me more. Write this down right here.
Yeah.
And then placed it on the refrigerator. Her note, placed it on the refrigerator. Didn't tell the detectives, but let them find it.
Oh, my God.
I mean, he was just fucking sinister, but... And it would have worked if he would have left fucking well enough alone.
Well, it's almost...
Had he not sued the transportation company. Had he not kept on insisting.
Well, it's almost like John List. You know, John List, the guy that killed his whole family, and then, like, the only reason he got caught was the Unsolved Mysteries did, like, a claymation of his head or whatever. Like, that is the guy that, like, literally shut the fuck up about the thing that he did and just, like, walked away and started a new life. Like, this guy had every chance to do that and just couldn't leave well enough alone. And nobody thought that he was guilty. you know, everybody knew John List was guilty and they knew exactly who they were looking for. But, like, in this situation, even the victim's family believed that he was innocent.
Right.
So it's like, you greedy fucking... And a nuclear whatever the fuck, he had been making bank.
Oh, he was making bank.
Oh, go away.
But see, the whole thing with Deanne that triggered her.
Well, that's a different case.
They went to her hospital. She had already been put. Right. She had already been aware enough that she knew about it that would implicate her in the crime.
Right.
And the only reason why she wasn't implicated is because she turned state's evidence.
Right.
She was basically exonerated for her information,
for testimony. But had he not gone to that hospital,
guilty.
Yeah,
she was absolutely guilty of that.
She was part of it.
I mean, she fucking stayed with him after she knew.
She knew, yeah.
He told her.
Yeah.
He said, "I did this for you," and they even exchanged it. Like they did like a little ring ceremony.
Oh, stop.
Yes, fuck you, Deanne.
Why would he go to the hospital where she worked though?
That's
Just
what
to, like,
I'm saying.
fucking rub it in her face.
No, he was sick, but like go
There's
to another
hospital in Springfield, Illinois.
Right?
The fuck?
Ugh. Anywho.
Oh, that's gross.
I'm glad he's in jail.
Yeah, he's exactly where he deserves to be.
That's right. So
God,
that's
what
my
a
story.
mess.
That's yeah. What
Hate
a
that.
fucking mess, you know? So as messy as our divorces have been, at least we didn't kill nobody.
No, and like honestly, mine was a pretty clean break. I don't know about you, but I had some pretty I had a pretty clean break.
I mean, as clean as
a divorce can be, yeah.
I mean, I'm a pro at it.
In and out.
I mean,
nobody ended up, you know, on a murderous rampage and a hammer to the head. My God. What a violent way to end someone's life.
Oh my God, yes. And in the 911 call, you can hear
them still like moaning alive.
Oh my God.
So fucking sad.
That's the worst of it.
And this poor guy like walked into a scene. Like the taxi driver, he just like walks into the scene. He's probably like, what the fuck is happening? And then gets shot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
He gets fucking shot once, survives it, and the guy comes back for him.
My baby's crying.
Yeah.
And that very loud, like wailing cry really is a lot, like, to listen to. I really do hate to hear that. Like fake cry is so like, oh, it's so cringy. Like, you're just like, oh, God, stop. Stop it. That's probably why the 911 operators are like, can you settle the fuck down?
Yeah, but you know what? If they would have had me on the other line, I would have been like, oh, no, he fucking killed her. He said, he described her brains. That's not a person in pain. A person in pain doesn't describe their loved one's brains. They don't.
Yeah. It does feel like an extra added detail of like...
Yeah, like, I did it, you know?
Ugh.
Like, almost like like where you describe a trophy fish, how big it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Or like if you kill a buck, a 5-point buck, and you're like, oh, you should have seen those horns. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, yeah.
It almost has like a grotesque bragging to it.
Just by the way you're saying that he described
that
it.
He's like, her brains are everywhere. What the fuck is... Like, that's just bizarre.
Yeah, I don't even think I noticed that part of it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you were describing... I mean, God, like, if you were describing an accident scene, you know, and you were... Would you call it in like that? Would you describe the scene, or would you say there's people hurt here? Please send help.
Like... Maybe it's important to,
it's
like...
not,
maybe not the... But, like, I'm just thinking, like, okay, if you're an EMT...
You would know that there's brain matter without that extra detail.
Or like, but I guess it is a little bit helpful to like have that information before you get there. I don't think it's necessary, but it might be like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. As the person who's like witnessing the thing, no, I don't think it would be a thing I would comment on. But as like
it's almost trivializing the level of injury that your loved one has, and I don't think that a person who loves somebody would trivialize it like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I just don't know. See, I'm like, not that I've ever seen a scene like that, but I am generally very calm in a chaotic situation.
And so am I.
Like, I don't think I would ever be like screaming like that on the phone. Like, I just, even in the worst situation, I don't think I would act that way. So like, no, I probably would not address those, you know, injuries. But I think sometimes they do want to be like, describe the injury to me. But would I be like that far? I don't think so.
No, you would be like, my loved one is hurt, they have a severe head injury, you wouldn't say, oh my God, her brains are everywhere. That's no. Absolutely. I will die on that hill. You would never.
I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying I don't think
anybody would. I don't think anybody would.
I find some people that are very there are some people that are more emotional based,
dramatic, maybe.
And dramatic. Well, he was very dramatic, yeah. But I think there are people that are just describing the scene and thinking of what the scene is.
But a description of a scene means that you are separated from the feelings about it.
I mean,
and some people
chime in.
And some people that are of a certain nature and certain thinking in certain ways, and probably separate that level. Although him being as emotional as he sounded on that 911 call would be on that, I would find him not to be describing the brain matter versus somebody who's very calm and very
matter of fact.
But someone who's matter of fact, just looking at the facts of everything.
Right.
But then you may say, there's brain matter on the floor, there's this, there's that.
But he was
so emotional, right, that I.
But if he was saying it matter of factly, then you would be like, look at how calm he is. I can't believe he's matter of factly saying, oh, her brain.
Well, I think we're swayed by the fact that we already know that he.
That's true, right? Yeah, it's hard to be objective in that case.
But when I first heard that, before knowing that he was guilty, because Roger was good for it.
Yeah.
Okay, he was very fucking weird with what he did. But so before knowing that he was the killer, that thing, I was like, ew. He said brain matter.
Yeah, I didn't even pick it up.
Like, it really fucking threw me off. Right?
I caught it immediately.
It like pings.
Yeah.
It pings in your head and you're like, oh, that's a red flag. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I thought that was, I said, well, that's a unique statement. I didn't realize he was talking about her.
I
thought he was talking about
the other
him.
guy. That's a different story.
I didn't realize he was talking about her. All I remember him saying the brains were everywhere or something like that.
Yeah.
I am trying to like picture a scenario, like say if you came up on a car accident and like someone.
But you're removed from that person. That's a stranger to you.
Yeah. Okay.
A loved one is totally different.
I suppose you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my point, that it's a loved one. If he was talking about the guy, that's different, but he was talking about his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if your baby fell off the bed, cracked, and died, and the brain was spilling out, and you would say, that would be your phone call?
I don't know.
Brain matter.
I don't know.
I just, chime in if you
I don't know if I would honestly, okay, so like, yeah, I'm sitting here being like, yeah, I would be calm in a situation, but like, I don't know that if I would be in a situation where I was exposed to someone's like internal organs or their brain matter, especially someone that I cared about, that I would even be able to make a phone call. You know what I mean? Like that I would even be able to like,
my God, yeah.
You know, like to like, oh my God, it's making truly my stomach. Yeah. I'm like ill to my stomach just thinking about it. Like, oh my God.
This is fucking absolutely senseless and lawless and just all the things.
Because you were fucking someone else and you wanted to be in a different relationship. Like, go away. Go away.
Yeah.
And you just like adopted a baby. Like someone, oh my God.
And
like
he's
so many layers of fucked in that story.
I mean, it's a fucking turducken and a fucking. He and Deanne. I blame Deanne.
I mean, she's just as culpable.
She was. I mean, if you watch the Dateline episode, she was there, sitting next to her, sharing this baby. Every day at the house, fucking being her bestie, fucking her husband.
I know people like that, though.
That's gross, man.
I know people who have done that.
You don't do that to a friend,
yeah,
bro. No. And then after he kills her, and you think you're safe, fucker?
Yeah, no way. That's scary.
With a hammer, no less. That's fucking messy and hands-on. Would you be able to sleep next to a man that did that?
Very, very, like, physically close.
Yes.
Like, very, like, intimate.
Yes.
You know, it's almost like a stabbing where it's, like, it's very intimate. It's very, like...
And he's gotten away with it. You know people get empowered.
Hell no,
How could you sleep next to a man that you know was capable of that?
No, that's terrifying.
Fucking.
And what did she think? She was going to, like, step into his shoes?
Yes, absolutely. She thought she was going to be Bailey's mom and they were going to just pick up where they left off.
Wow.
But that wasn't the plan.
And then this 23-year-old came in.
Yeah.
How old was he when he met her?
I'm assuming he's in his 30s because, it's...
Like way in his 30s or not quite?
I mean, so he graduated, he met Donna in the 80s. They had already graduated college.
Right, he was born in 63, you said. 62, 63.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's well into his 30s by the 95.
With the 23-year-old.
Fuck.
Deanne had no shot.
No.
Oh.
Not especially when, like, this person is, like, literally, playing the role.
Yeah.
Like, doing the mom thing,
Exactly.
cooking his dinners, doing, she's
pregnant by him right away.
Yeah. Oh, so gross.
Ugh, this guy is
that poor
fucking
woman.
nasty.
And the rest of it's like, all the kids are a victim to that. Like, oh, it's so dark.
She felt like a victim, too. She got duped, too. She didn't know
absolutely.
This. She would have never,
She, like, thinks he's, like,
and the thing is that Donna's family loved Rebecca. They were like, oh, she's nice. She's good for him, blah, blah, blah. They were fucking oblivious to the fact that he was a sociopath.
Oh,
oblivious.
so dark.
All the way to the end. Like, during the trial, they thought that they were going to be like, no, he's innocent.
Even after he cut them out of her life?
Yes.
Fuck.
They just thought it was his grieving.
Yeah.
They were, like, very excused with it.
That's
he had them
so
duped. Fucking dark, right?
Honestly, if it hadn't been for his greed with trying to get the money from the transportation company, even if Deanne would have come forward, there may have been some questions, but...
It would have been hard to prove.
It would have been harder to prove, and they would have been just like, oh, she's just a jilted lover.
Yes.
Right.
Especially since she had already tried, suicide. She had already tried overdosing. She was, had a drinking problem. So she could have been a jilted lover, right? But no.
I would love to know how many fucking assholes do actually get away with it and can shut their mouth.
Oh, there's a lot. Listen to hospice. Listen to hospice workers, and when people start confessing their murders to them,
God, girl.
just before
I know
deathbed confession.
That's it.
That's a mouthful.
Who Peterson?
Drew Peterson. Remember, he killed his young wife. They never found her.
Is that who you're talking about?
No, he killed his. I think her name was Stacy Peterson, and he had a friend that his young wife disappeared. He was 50 years old, a police officer, and his wife was 23.
Oh yeah.
And he said that she ran away to Mexico or whatever. But his friend said that he helped him move a drum.
Oh fucking! I hate these.
Heavy drum, and he's still he's out there living his best fucking life.
Oh my god, my stomach hurts.
Yeah. Anyway, before Dana pukes, let's wrap this up.
I hate that. That's so
Listen,
scary.
I hate all of the injustice and just.
Well, I guess justice was served in this case, except for the part about Deanne.
Yeah. But I mean, she was her. She's her own.
She's her own worst justice.
Yeah. Honestly, she didn't participate. She didn't plan. She just happened to know.
Yeah.
But we don't know
after the fact. Apparent, allegedly.
That was your friend.
Allegedly.
I mean, I guess but
don't fuck your friend's husband.
I guess
to
it
start.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Also, sleeping with a husband, somebody else's husband, does not mean that you should go to jail.
Directly to jail.
But
directly to fucking
probably
jail.
should, but
directly to fucking jail.
It's honey,
under law.
He had told her his plans before he carried them out.
So he could have saved her life. She could have saved her life.
Yeah.
Oh.
But she didn't. But I guess she didn't think that he was actually going to do it.
Directly to jail.
Well, that's it for us. And I would love to know if you think that 911 call was...
Yeah, get a thread going in the Facebook group. I'd love to hear.
Or Twitter or wherever the fuck you're doing threading.
Oh, that's right, Twitter.
I mean, Twitter really get some threads going in there.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so we'll see you next week, I guess. And in the meantime, you can subscribe. We have 137 episodes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and the early episodes are double. You get 2 stories in each episode.
I know.
We were doing so much more then.
Yeah. We really toned things down.
Anywho, so subscribe so you don't miss out. Write a review and share with someone you love. Really, share with someone you love.
Honestly, just do that.
Here's an example of a 5-star review titled, one of my favorite true crime pods. I've always had a fascination with true crime genre of podcasts, and the Crime Diner is one of my favorites. I really enjoy the chemistry between the hosts as well as the unique dinner party concept. He put this, or she, Marty? Okay.
Them.
Right. They put this quote unquote dinner party concept. This is the trashiest dinner party.
So trashy.
When I enter the Crime Diner, I always know I'm in for a treat. Dude, that can be our slogan.
That's a great slogan, actually.
For real. Oh my God, that's so... I love fucking being complimented.
Let's refer back to the one a couple of weeks ago where they said, I stay for the narcissism.
Listen. Chelsea Deanne says, oh my God, this is a good Deanne.
Oh my God.
The Deanne that we just described does not reflect this Deanne. This was a phenomenal episode. I had never heard of the Night Witches before. Dana did the Night Witches, fucking awesome episode. I mean, honestly, if they are not producing a movie about the Night Witches, I don't want to live in a world where a movie about it doesn't... have you ever seen Inglourious Bastards?
It's probably like one of my top 5 movies.
This would be great.
Oh my God, it
feels truly like that, right?
Yes,
it feels like an Inglourious Bastards situation, but for girls, for women,
my God,
right?
What the fuck?
So she says, this is a phenomenal episode. I had never heard of the Night Witches before. Thank you for sharing this story, Dana. My husband has never listened to a true crime podcast before, so we listened in the car on a road trip because I wanted to catch up on episodes.
God help you.
And he thoroughly enjoyed it. Nydia was absolutely hilarious in this episode. Even my husband was chuckling. I don't know what the fuck I said that was funny. Honestly,
you were fully trashed during that episode.
It was the Moscow Mules, honestly.
I mean, that sounds like a you problem. No, but honestly, I was so hungover the next day.
I really am like pumped how excited people were over the Night Witches because I was so pumped to tell you that story. I'm so glad about
and
that.
I was pumped to receive it.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like,
You do receive this information.
I do receive this information. This podcast has changed my health habits.
Uh-huh.
When I go to the doctor and the doctor says, how many drinks do you have per week? I actually have to be like, ooh, how about that?
Well, I used to be like, I only have 1 or 2 a month, actually. No, that's not
But now I'm going to have to like face myself, look in the mirror, and make some real judgment calls here and be like, Doc, it's
a bunch.
It's a few.
It's a frupple.
Yeah. So anyway, we will. You can connect with us on all the socials. We're out there. Just look for us. Do the fucking some of the footwork.
Crime Diner.
Crime Diner. Yeah.
Look us up.
Check you out next week. And remember. Oh wait, something that I want to say. I'm sorry. I have noticed
that was like you got me right to the edge and then pulled it back.
I have noticed that people come to Facebook and they like our page. You must go into the group. Some people like our page and don't realize that we have a group.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they'll like our page, they won't go to the group. It's the group where
if you're not answering questions, you're not getting in the group.
Right.
That's how you know that you're at the page and not the group.
Right.
The page, anybody can like the page.
Right.
But if you want to enter the group, and it's high quality Facebook content, my friends. But you got to answer the questions. That's how you know you're in the right place.
Yeah. And it's such a fucking wholesome group.
It's worth it.
I love that group. Anywho, it's the freaking only social media I do anymore.
Truly.
Especially when I'm depressed. And
I do get on Instagram because I like to talk to the people who are listening to the podcast on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But you should too. Because they got a lot of good stuff to say.
I do. I go in there. I don't know how to navigate.
You're a creep. You're just a creeping around.
I am. I'm creeping around. I'm there. Anywho, check you out next week. And remember, do not get taken to the second location. Be good at hiding the body. Cheers.
Are you okay? Jesus Christ. You're fucking loud. You're disgusting and I hate you both. Oh, God. I'm crying. Oh, my God. And holding my pee because I almost fucking peed myself.